Hi squaddies and Disney lovers, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening whenever you're watching or listening. Hello. Be sure to check out memberships. You can join if you're interested. You'll be in the company of equally amazing people. And just like with all my information, I'll put the links inside the description box. Thanks. This video will be a bit different from my typical Harry and Meghan videos. For any new watchers who aren't into royal news, this is a Harry and Meghan success-friendly channel. But I also love The Little Mermaid, both animation and live action. So I wanted to go off topic and do a review for the live action movie. And here we go. Like many of you, I grew up watching The Little Mermaid. I've been a fan literally my entire life. I remember my mom and dad brought home the VHS. I'm showing my age here. And I would watch that cartoon every single day. I learned all the lines and all the songs because I wanted to be Ariel. I thought she was so pretty and girly, graceful, adventurous. She was everything to me. Yeah, I was given obsession at the time. So... And it was to the point where I would even change my name to Ariel. Like whenever my sister or our friends will play school, they'll ask, what are your names? And I'll be like, I'm Ariel. It was also the first time my mom heard my singing voice. She would have me singing Part of Your World or the ah. And I'll stop there because I don't want your ears to get damaged and also copyright. She would have me singing that in front of family members, whether it's for dinners or barbecues. And like I would start off shy, and then like all of a sudden the spirit of Ariel would jump within me, giving me all the confidence a little girl would need to embrace their inner Ariel. Now, fast forward to growing up me and my absolute surprise when I found out that Grammy-nominated voice of an ethereal angel, Halle Bailey, scored the ultimate role of a lifetime, in my opinion. And while there were haters of the typical demographic who would complain about wokeness and progress, there were also celebrations. The majority of the reactions were of celebration, as well as curiosity for those who don't follow Halle or Chloe and Halle. And the director Rob Marshall's response as to why he cast Ariel was enough to shut the haters up for a while. After an extensive search, it was abundantly clear that Halle possesses that rare combination of spirit, heart, youth, innocence, and substance, plus a glorious singing voice, all intricate qualities necessary to play this iconic role. And that was back in 2019, before all our lives changed from the pandemic. Let's fast forward again to 2023. Yes, even almost a year after the 2022 iconic trailer with Halle as Ariel singing the end of Part of Your World. Unfortunately, I can't play the song or the video due to copyright reasons, but you know what I'm referring to. The movie is 2 hours and 15 minutes long, while the original was just 89 minutes and rated G. This live action is rated PG. I like that the writers took their time to build the characters of Ariel and Eric with actual personalities and a friendship before having a romantic relationship. We as viewers got to see Ariel as this independent thinker and wanting a different path in her life than what her father had in mind for her. She was so fascinated by the human world that she even wanted to be a part of it, hence why she did an entire musical number about it. This movie definitely made it clear that Ariel did not give up her voice for a boy. Yes, Eric came as a great addition to her dream of being in the human world, and she loved him for being compassionate and kind. Her words, by the way. But her first priority was to learn more and explore the human world. Why do you think she had all those gadgets and gizmos aplenty? Halle embarked the role beautifully. Her acting was phenomenal. Her voice was superb. She truly showed you that she had the soul of Ariel within her. Rob Marshall definitely chose right. And he did right by casting Jonah Hauer-King as Prince Eric. Unlike the cartoon, Prince Eric had a soul. He wasn't just a pretty face. He was a man on a mission of exploring the world and all things to his longing to be in the sea. Like Ariel, Eric loved collecting things he found on his voyages. He didn't just want to be like his father, King Maximilius, leading his kingdom from behind the palace walls. He wanted to explore, go on these voyages on his ship with his fellow crew while learning and experiencing the different cultures and bringing back what he learned from these adventures to his kingdom. To be the king his father never got to be. Eric was adopted by his royal parents after being found from a shipwreck as a baby 21 years ago. So seeing his mom as this beautiful black woman makes a lot of sense, whether blood related or not. Though I do know some mixed race people who have black parents or people of color as parents who look exactly or almost exactly like their European parents. So it could have been possible for Queen Selena to be Eric's biological mother. But I also appreciate the representation for adoptive families. Now, on Eric's latest voyage, he and his crew encounters a fast approaching storm, a hurricane or cyclone, depending on where you're from. Since the setting on Queen Selena's kingdom looks Caribbean, I'll say the Northern Hemisphere. Anywho, Eric's voyage gets so dangerous that everyone has to abandon the ship. And I love how similar most of these scenes are to the animation. I'll call the live action version of this movie the expanded, upgraded version of the cartoon. Eric saves Max, but unfortunately for him, he wasn't so lucky and gets knocked unconsciousness into the darkness of the sea. Fun fact, did you notice that Ariel also helps Max the dog get to the rescue boats? I love this new addition. So Ariel rescues Eric and does a beautiful job at waking him into consciousness. Halle gave us her wonderful acting and beyond superb singing in the scene. I also love how Eric's hand ended up on hers, just like in the animation. When Ariel did the famous rock portion of the reprise, I don't know when, I don't know how, that made me so teary-eyed. Like, we'll speak more about the songs later in the review. Like, I'm actually getting teary-eyed just thinking about that scene. And pardon my voice. What I appreciated on the live action that I didn't really get from the animation were the supporting characters. Eric's close advisor Grimsby and Ariel's friend Sebastian are my favorites. Both are totally different species, but both wanted what was best for their persons despite not always agreeing with their goals. So Eric had 1, 2, or maybe 3 allies that also included his mom, who only wanted the best for him. And we can't forget about Eric's dog Max, as well as the Queen / Eric / Ariel / head servant Lashana. I always thought she stand for Ariel and Eric as well, since the beginning actually. While Ariel had 3 allies, Sebastian, Scuttle, and Flounder, who I absolutely loved. Actually 4 allies. Remember Lashana? Flounder is so adorable. The designs, the voices, it was perfect to me. I don't follow Aquafina, but she made me love Scuttle. I thought he was okay on the animation as a seagull, but on the live action, I loved her, and Scuttle was a gannet on this version, and a gannet is actually one of my favorite birds, which I thought was, yes, awesome. I love gannets. So when I saw Scuttle as a gannet on the trailer, I was like, oh my gosh, she's definitely not a seagull. Which was an added benefit for Scuttle because as a gannet, she gets to have more scenes with Ariel. As you all know, gannets are diving birds and can go underwater for a little bit. And Rob Marshall shared why Scuttle was a gannet this time around in an interview with IndieWire. He shared that the choices were between a cormorant and a gannet. The latter was the final choice, which meant more scenes between the diving bird and the underwater sea creatures, and especially with her little mermaid. Ariel has never seen the human world because it was forbidden by her father, King Triton, after her mother, Queen Athena, lost her life at the hands of humans. So Scuttle was her only way of knowing about the human world. Being a Northern Guinea herself, she also hoards her nest with gashes and gizmos of plenty. And Flounder, who was played by Jacob Tremblay, was absolutely adorable. His voice made Flounder so cute to me. Sebastian was voiced by Devi Dix, and he played the role phenomenally. His accent was like a different variety of Caribbean that I didn't mind. And I found his lines like, "Hey girl," and "Go get it," absolutely hilarious. Like, a lot of his lines were funny to me. I really enjoyed them. His Jamaican Trini accent with a touch of something else that I can't put my finger on made Sebastian hold his own. Ard Malik plays Eric's close advisor and prime minister to Queen Selena's kingdom, and as I mentioned before, I truly appreciate him. On the animation, I found Grimsby a tad bit annoying, but on this live action, I loved him. He was Team Ariel and Eric almost from the start. Queen Selena, played by Norma Dumas-Sweeney, is Prince Eric's adoptive mother, who is a lot like most overly protective parents. She's stressed when her only son goes out on his voyages and has a dislike for the sea, believing sea gods get angry when you disturb the sea. And lately, it seems like it's that way with large bodies of water, so I get her. Martina Laird plays Lashana, who is Queen Selena's chief servant and advisor. She's one of Prince Eric's maids, and she is Team Eric and Ariel. King Triton is Ariel's dad, who is played by Javier Bardem. He's like most overly protective dads who wants to keep their daughters as close to them as possible and to never leave their sights. But unfortunately for him, his little one, as he calls her, is a lot like her mom, who was, I'm assuming, just as curious and free-spirited as her daughter. King Triton only wants the best for his little one, and due to the death of his wife, Ariel's mother, he banned all sea life from ever being in any contact with the human world. Javier and Hallie definitely had that genuine father and daughter relationship. Their scenes together were intense, as it should be. Triton doesn't ever want to lose his little one. When I was a little girl watching the animation, I thought he was a bit unfair to Ariel. But now that I'm an adult and seeing some things, I totally get him. Though unfortunately for him, children grow up with their own minds, hopes, and dreams, and all a parent can do is love them from afar. Ursula is played by Melissa McCarthy, and she did superbly. I'm certain that the late Pat Carroll would have been proud. While I found some comfort in the animation Ursula, the live action was just as enjoyable and had some funny moments. And I thought that was pretty creative and cool that she and Triton were siblings. So she was Ariel's auntie. And her babies, Funsome and Jetsam, are as ugly as they are on the animation, which makes them evilly delightful. Ariel's sisters are all beautiful and have different names than the animation, and I love that change. I'm not gonna lie, I really love that. Their names are Caspia, who is played by Natalie Sorrow, Indira, played by Simone Ashley, Perla, played by Lorena Andrea, Karina, played by Casa Mahamar, Mala, played by Carolina Kotchett, and Tamika, played by Sienna King. They all come from the same mom and dad, and I enjoy their brief appearances in the film. Okay, now that I spoke about Ariel and Eric individually, along with their side characters, I am going to talk about my favorite part of the movie, and that's Ariel and Eric together. Hallie and Jonah's chemistry was incomparable. They made me love Ariel and Eric. While the animation was cute, the live action brought out their friendship to romance to a top tier level. I felt like a giddy schoolgirl inside whenever I saw them together. The way Eric looks at Ariel and the way she looks at him. You can just feel their chemistry. And there's a scene where Ariel curiously walks through the palace or castle halls and eventually finds her way into Eric's library. Anywho, the room has all its gadgets and gizmos aplenty, showing us the viewers how much in common these two have. Oh my god, they're organized hoarders! And when he comes into the room and discovers her in the room and he notices something in her hand, he goes, "My little mermaid." I gasped, but then quickly realized that he was referring to an actual Little Mermaid figurine she was holding, and he found on one of his voyages. But the way she looked at him when he said that, I made the same exact expression. And then I mentioned that the chemistry was giving satisfaction when he was reading the different maps to her. Even Grimsby noticed. The carriage scene was hilarious and cute. The dancing with the fellow town peoples was fun. It was giving Caribbean vibes. Oh, and I didn't forget about the Dinglehopper edition on this trip. Jodie Benson, the voice of the 1989 animated Ariel, played a cameo and passed the Dinglehopper to the 2023 live-action Ariel, passing the torch to the next generation. The Kiss the Girl scene was absolutely superb. It was a completely different level of romance compared to all the live-action Disney movies. You hear people say romance is dead, or you don't see good, clean, genuine romance in movies anymore, or to that extent. You're going to get it here. Ariel and Eric are truly in love. It made someone I know who is bitter and petty towards love appreciate what was given before her. She ended up seeing the movie twice. I'm not even going to share how many times I've seen the movie. But the way Eric learns Ariel's name and his response, it was perfect. Eric's love for Ariel is so powerful that not even Ursula's Vanessa, who is played by Jessica Alexander, could block it. Poor Eric was so confused. After everything with Ariel, now he's engaged to this other woman. He looks so lost. Yet, he still was asking for Ariel. And his disappointment when Grimsby told her that she was no longer there. I guess I somewhat overstayed my welcome in talking about Ariel and Eric's love, but I'm a romantic at heart, and I absolutely love romance. I love love. I love the way I feel when I see it or experience it. I just love the entire vibe, and when the spell was broken, when Ariel got her voice back, the way Eric looked at Ariel, you could see the pain and guilt, surprise, happiness, relief, love, all that roll up in one on his face. He was so apologetic while physically professing his love and devotion to her. Ariel's response, "She bewitched you." The man wasn't even thinking about his engagement party. All he was worried about was Ariel. All he kept thinking about was Ariel. Mentioning Ariel, he kept thinking about her. And I thought that the spell was on his last leg anyway. And I honestly don't think that Eric would have married Vanessa anyway, because he was just so... He wasn't himself. He was even doubting himself. He's like, I'm not even sure myself. That should have been like, okay, we're calling off this engagement party. Let's cancel. We apologize that we started this. And then Ursula and Vanessa probably would have blown a gasket, or in her case, a tentacle. Okay, where did I leave off? Oh yes, when Ariel was telling Eric, "She bewitched you." And Vanessa/Ursula did just that. She bewitched him. Poor guy. He was so confused. And when Ursula was herself again, Eric was so protective of Ariel that he pulled her in his arms. Oh, he even tried to stop the sea monster, but by now, you should know how powerful everything in the sea is, including its creatures. But his determination didn't stop. Eric went after Ariel after Ursula murnapped her and dived right back into the sea. It was giving classic evil Disney. That scene was almost exactly like the animation, but in live action form. It was epic with a lot more plot twists, like with her father King Triton and Ariel saving Eric this time. I actually love that plot twist. I know people are like, we don't want princesses saving princes. Like, hey, it happens, okay? And poor Eric, the man wanted to continue looking for Ariel, but gave up after his mother told him that a mermaid and a man were never meant to be, despite seeing how much her son is in love with this girl. I honestly think that he was mentally exhausted at that point, but have y'all noticed the bruise on Eric's chest? I don't know how long Eric and Ariel have seen one another since that horrible, crazy evening with Ursula. I just hope that Ariel was able to, once they reunited, I hope she was able to fix the bruise or help with the bruise. Let's keep going. Because his character, like Ariel, is so determined to get what he wants, Eric always had a calling to the sea, while Ariel had a calling to the land, the human world. They were literally each other's calling in connection to their dreams. It was absolutely perfect. And I love it when Ariel told her father that Eric was with her to defeat Ursula and save him. Even King Triton finally accepted that his little one wants a life outside the sea, and he grants that to her. And the reunion between Ariel and Eric was genuinely beautiful. Some say a kiss is the best way of connecting with people. But after Eric and Ariel's reunion, I say a hug has a deeper meaning to the human connection. The way Eric got up and held Ariel before kissing her, it brought tears to my eyes. It was so beautiful. And if you didn't notice, during the reunion, Eric's song Wild Uncharted Waters and Ariel's song Part of Your World were mixed together, signifying their union as man and wife. And I love that. It happened a couple times throughout this movie, but this scene, it was just perfect. I loved it. I was happy with everything, including her dress. The ending was also emotional. Like when King Triton finally showed up. That's just as when Ariel and Eric were leaving for their ship, for their voyage to travel the world together, to see the world together. He showed up and Ariel was like, thank you for hearing me. And then her dad was like, you shouldn't have to give up your voice to be heard. But now I am listening. And then he says something like, and I will always be here for you. We all will. And it shows all the mermaids from the sea all showing up. They're all smiling. Just so beautiful. All of them are. The mermaids are just beautiful. It was just so emotional because they're all so beautiful. There were different shades. There's different shapes, sizes, ages, all of them. As well as Eric's, family, they were all out there too. Like they were all together as one. And it was just so beautiful, so emotional. Just, I'm getting teary-eyed right now, just thinking about that. And then the music with Part of Your World and Wild Uncharted Waters, they're one. They're man and wife as well. Prince Eric and Princess Ariel. And have y'all noticed Ariel's ring on her finger? The same exact ring that Queen Selena gave her son Prince Eric that once belonged to her mother, aka his grandmother. Yeah, Grimsby did right to kick that ring because it belonged to Ariel. And that was a random fun fact. Now back to this review. Both Prince Eric and Princess Ariel are one. A mermaid and a man brought two families together, as well as two species together, making them one family. We are one. Whether you whether you want to believe it or not, we're all one. And then Ariel cries for the first time because, you know, they said mermaids don't cry. And I noticed that like right away when I watched the movie while I was crying in the theaters. And while I was also watching it at home, you know, when it came out on digital, Ariel had tears run down her face while her dad's eyes were watery, pretty much like how Ariel's eyes were throughout her emotional scenes in the movie. Like you would notice, and Halle does an excellent job with that. Well, she does an excellent job, period. During her mermaid scenes and especially during her human scenes. You can tell when Ariel is sad to the point of tears, but you don't see the tears run down her face. You know, you can see the tears well up in her eyes, but you know she's devastatingly sad. Like when her father, King Triton, destroyed a lot of her items in her grotto. You can hear her sniffling while holding the statue of Eric's hand. The way she was sniffling, indicating that she was crying, but with no tears coming out of her eyes. And then another moment was when Eric flat out rejected her in a polite way. And he also made sure that she was taken care of, and he told her she could stay as long as she likes. But you know, she wasn't the girl that rescued him, so he thought she wasn't. And of course I love Ariel so devastated because you can clearly see that she was so excited that the prince Eric was finally going to see her. She was finally going to meet him. He's finally going to meet her, and she's finally going to say hi. I'm assuming she's going to say hi to him. I don't know. I mean, what do you say? And then another moment is when she learns that Eric was going to marry another girl. She didn't know that it was Ursula at the time, so she just saw this other girl with Eric. It was Ursula Vanessa, and she was, oh my gosh, saddest, most beautifully tragic song I've ever heard. We were all experiencing Ariel's very first heartbreak in her entire life, and yeah, it was very sad. And then another moment was when Ursula killed her father. Ariel's eyes welled up. She called her auntie a monster, which, yeah, she was. But he comes back to life, obviously. And then another moment was when she was reunited with Prince Eric, and they hugged, and they kissed, and then hugged again. Like, I saw some welled up tears in Halle's eyes, so I'm not sure if that was just Halle crying or Ariel or both. And then there's the final scene when Ariel says goodbye to her father and her family and friends from under the sea, and then this time tears leave her eyes, and it's in a beautiful response to the quote from the author Hans Christian Andersen, where he says, "But a mermaid has no tears, and therefore she suffers so much more." And that was beautifully executed. But going back to that scene with the mermaids and everybody saying goodbye. Seeing all the mermaids of all shades, shapes, sizes, ages, all of them, along with Eric's family and other humans of different shapes, sizes, shades. You get where I'm coming at. Just seeing everyone come together to send Eric and Ariel off to their honeymoon/voyage around the world was beautiful. When Ariel said, "I love you, Father," my eyes were flooded with tears. Just thinking about it makes me feel teary-eyed. Like that was a powerful scene. Like with the music, the movie was beyond everything I could have wanted it in a Disney live action. It was done perfectly. The cinematography was superb. The acting was perfect. The music was beyond amazing. The CGI was perfect. And the chemistry between Jonah and Halle, top tier. I watched all the Disney live action movies and seen all the couples, and none of them could reach the level of chemistry that Jonah and Halle presented in this film. They truly raised the bar on chemistry in a movie. Now the songs I was also very happy with, and I got to listen to the soundtrack a week before the movie came out. The soundtrack was released, and I listened to it, and I loved that one. And then the deluxe version of the soundtrack was released, which was the entire score of the movie by Alan Menken, with lyrics by the late Howard Ashman, with new additional lyrics by Lin-Manuel Miranda. It sounded like the original with their own spin. And a possible unpopular opinion, I was never a fan of Daughters of Triton song. I felt it was in a way to me, like, I want to see Ariel. I don't want to see these girls. Like, okay, nice to see you, but still I was happy it was replaced with something shorter like Triton's Kingdom. But now that this movie is available on digital, I've got the chance to compare and contrast on how later Ariel appears in the movie, and she actually appears sooner in the animated movie. She appears within 5 minutes of the movie, while in the live action she appears a little after 7 minutes. But I still prefer the live action. Now, Halle's Part of Your World was on a league of its own, and seeing her sing in person was absolute perfection. You can hear the emotions and determination. I sound like a broken record with that word as well, but I mean, you can literally hear it. You can feel her yearning to be a part of the human world. You can feel the emotions. You can hear the emotions of her singing this with all her heart and soul, and it was beyond perfect. I currently cannot think of a word right now that would describe how I felt watching that for the first time, and hearing her voice and the visuals. All the items that she collected are absolutely wonderful, but it's just not enough. She wants to live it, and she's not letting anyone stop her from her dream to this unusual but amazing world above the sea. Yes, I got all that from Halle's performance. The rest of the songs, the older songs, were also in the soundtrack and movie, except for Les Paysans, Thank God. Yes, another unpopular opinion. I thought Phantom Below was another fun performance. The switch from it being at the very beginning of the movie in a cartoon to now being on a bit later in the movie, not much later, but just a teeny tiny bit later in the movie. It made so much more sense to me. For some reason, I get Pirates of the Caribbean vibes from that scene. I don't know why, but I did. It was fun. Especially the hee-ho, hee-ho. Now I'm feeling like SpongeBob SquarePants after saying that. The reprise of Part of Your World showcased Halle's acting, as well as the chemistry between she and Jonah. I love how his hand slowly touched hers. It was as if this beautiful voice awakened him. And even if he couldn't truly see her, he felt her in his heart, and he needed to physically touch her in order to live. Under the Sea was beyond amazing on the theater screen, from the vibrant colors to the different species of sea life. I've seen comments of people wondering why Ariel isn't getting electrocuted or shocked by some of the sea life. I think it's because she's a mermaid and immune to it. Or the jellyfishes respect and love Ariel so much that she gets a pass for them. What I also appreciated was the homage to classic Disney it was giving. Like, I don't know if any of you watched Fantasia. I watched both Fantasias, by the way. Like the old one from, I think, back in the 40s that came out, and then there was the one in 2000. Like, it was just giving old school Disney, and yeah, I was here for it. Jonah Hauer-King sang one of the new songs in the movie titled Wild Uncharted Waters. His performance was lovely. I really enjoyed it. His acting was wonderful as well. He was giving like Broadway acting vibes during this scene. I truly enjoyed that. I really did. And then we got to hear Halle, or Ariel's background vocals to the song. Oh, so beautiful. And it would have been cool if the soundtrack included a duet with Jonah and Halle, both singing their songs like together, like they have in a movie, with Wild Uncharted Waters and Part of Your World. But it'd be titled something like Part of Your Uncharted Waters or Wild Part of Your World. Like, I don't know, like it. That would have been really cool. Like, then they could have done like a music video together as their characters, of course. And yeah, that would have been lovely. Disney, if you're watching this, or if you've gotten this far into this video, and Jonah, he did an excellent job with his acting, you know, portraying Eric, you know, on this love song for Ariel. Like, he don't know it's Ariel yet, but you know what I mean, like this love song to this mysterious woman who saved his life. It was hypnotic how he was behaving. You know, he was like, there you are over me, taking me with your song. And then later in the song, he's like, and your voice is like a siren that guides me to wild, uncharted waters, alone, just you and me. Ariel's clearly not a siren. She's a mermaid. Sirens have wings and they lure and entice men and sailors or whatever and eat them up. Mermaids don't do anything like that. So, but I guess both of them have hypnotic voices, but one does it for evil while the other does it for good. And Eric is in this trance of love. As cheesy as that sounds, that's pretty much what it is. He's a man who's in love with this girl as well as the sea. And it mirrors Ariel's love song To the Human World, which is Part of Your World, as well as the reprise for her love for Eric. Just a beautiful connection. Love it. And before I forget, there is a part in this scene where Eric stands on a rock and looks out into the sea. Now, I don't know if Rob Marshall intentionally did this, because it looks a lot like the painting Wanderer Above the Sea of Fog by Caspar David Friedrich. And if Rob intentionally done this, then genius. I love it. I love artistic moves. So yeah, that was absolutely perfect. A perfect addition to this movie and song. Poor Unfortunate Soul by Melissa McCarthy, who plays Ursula, was amazing as well. I thought Melissa carried the role of Ursula perfectly, with a darker yet funny twist to the character. I also loved how in the movie the plot hole was patched, with Ariel plucking her scale instead of signing a contract. Because I remember thinking, if Ariel can write, then she should have been able to tell Eric in writing who she was. So that plot hole was wisely fulfilled. And unpopular opinion or not, I honestly think that live action Ursula was a lot darker than animated Ursula. So Melissa McCarthy made Ursula darker. And what I forgot to mention was the inspiration behind Ursula. I felt like Ursula was giving like drunk auntie vibes or drunk friend vibes. You know, you have that one friend who's just always just gotta have one too many to drink, and she's just dragging herself out of the bar, or we have to drag her out of the bar because, you know, she's just doing too much. And when I originally recorded this review / commentary of the movie and soundtrack, I did it like right after the final time I watched it in a movie theater. So then like a few weeks later, I watched in the bonus features of the digital of the movie that Melissa shared that her inspiration for Ursula was like this drunk woman dragging herself off of a bar stool. And I was laughing so much. Like, well, I wasn't laughing. I thought like, oh my God, look at that. And I just love it. And she's like, 15 long years. I can't do it like her, but I thought I like that so much. It just reminded me of like some of my aunties, how they used to do it, you know. I'm here for it. The second new song is actually my favorite song out of all of them. For the first time. The song is performed in Ariel's head and her mind as we get to experience the human world with Ariel for the very first time. Hallie's acting in this scene was beyond phenomenal. She perfectly captured the curiosity, wonder, excitement of Ariel. Not a lot of actors can pull that off without using their voice. Kiss the Girl was the most romantic scene in the entire movie, with Daveed Diggs, Awkwafina, and Jacob Timley singing as a trio at times, with Daveed's lovely voice singing lead. The change of words in this song wasn't noticeable to me. It was a perfect fit for 2023 and beyond, and I'm going to pretend that I don't have this version on replay whenever I play the soundtrack. The next song is another new addition and is called Scuttlebutt, performed by Awkwafina and Daveed Diggs. I find this song absolutely hilarious, but also helpful. Scuttle's basically telling Ariel that Eric is rumored to be proposing to this mysterious girl that randomly showed up in the kingdom. So naturally, Ariel just assumes that she's the girl that they're speaking of. And you probably already noticed this in the movie, or maybe I'm just overlooking, but I noticed Scuttle is like the character who gets the movie going, like moves the pace of the movie, you know? To me, it seems like, I don't know. To me, it seems like it. Like the pace of the movie was perfect, all thanks to Scuttle. Vanessa's Trick is another new song for the movie. It replaces Vanessa's song, which was recorded by the great Jodie Benson. And of course, like Disney tradition, Hallie is singing for Vanessa in Vanessa's Trick. And fun fact, Hallie recorded that song in one take. The next song is another new one. It's the second reprise of Part of Your World. And Hallie had me in tears. Her voice here is so beautifully tragic. Like, you can literally feel her heartbreak after discovering Eric being engaged to some other woman. And unfortunately for Ariel, she had no idea that he was under a spell at the time. So that heartbreak, I mean, if any of you ever had your heart broken before, you know how she felt. She felt like it was the end of the world. And the words go so well with the original scores. It's so beautiful. I feel like reading it. It's like reading a poem. She goes, risking it all, only to fall back where I started. Back near the shore, back to before you took my hand. Beksha on land, they understand, and they don't strand you broken-hearted. What did I give to live where you are? Where do I go with nowhere to turn to? And then she dissolves into sea foam, and that was the end. I'm just joking. No, that wasn't the end. But in that scene with Ariel feeling so brokenhearted, so defeated, just so empty, that she just drops the little mermaid that Eric gave her into the sea. It was almost exactly like how Eric felt, the same way he felt defeated, heartbroken. He felt like he lost the love of his life forever after defeating Ursula. He felt that there was nothing he can do at this point. She was gone forever, so he just let the dress go into the sea. But then we know how the ending goes. Eric and Ariel were reunited, and then they got married, and he sailed off into the voyage of happiness, love, and lived happily ever after. Overall, the soundtrack was phenomenal. I was pleased with it, and I highly recommend listening to it if you haven't already. And now, there are probably one or two things that I wish were in the movie, and that's the wedding. I would have loved to see Ariel in her wedding dress and Eric in his royal uniform as they exchanged vows, and I've also would have loved to see more of Ariel's sisters. And call me selfish, but I would have also loved to see Eric and Ariel on the ship together after Triton gave them that quick boost towards the ship. You know, seeing them waving farewell to their family before sharing one last kiss to end the scene in the movie. Maybe we'll get that in the sequel. And speaking of sequels, I would love to see more, like in a sequel, I would love to see Eric and Ariel on their voyages to different, parts of the world, and Ariel can see her sisters as well, and maybe they can help like defeat like villains in a particular parts of the seas, like evil sirens, and maybe Eric can like have some kind of connection with an evil siren, like his mom, his birth mother could be a siren while his father was a human. And their love story was like so tragic, and it ended with Eric's dad's ship crashing, in a shipwreck, and Eric's siren mother or father does one last deed in saving their son away from some evil source that was after them for power. Anyway, they drop newborn baby Eric off at the beach right by the castle, because everyone is well aware that the king and queen doesn't have any children, and they had trouble with producing an heir for many years. And Queen Selena sees this baby and feels that her prayers have been answered, and King Maximilius and Queen Selena adopts Eric, raises him as their own, as the prince, as the heir. And he learns more about his birth family and his kingdoms that he left behind that he wasn't even aware of. And he has to avenge his parents, or one of his parents, against this evil sorcerer who ruled over the sirens as well as his birth kingdom. And I'm going to end it there, because I can just go on and on and on about the speculations on the sequels and prequels and all that jazz. What would you like to see in a Little Mermaid live action sequel or prequel or threequel? Let me know in the comment sections below. The Little Mermaid is now available on digital and will be available on 4K Ultra HD, Blu-ray, and DVD on September 19th. And for all you digital buyers out there, I highly recommend that you purchase The Little Mermaid. That includes the bonus features. And the movie would be a perfect addition for your Disney or movie collection. Well, that's all I have regarding my review for the movie, as well as soundtrack. And I also like to give a shout out to all the talented people who took the time to make GIFs, as well as bring these beautiful pictures onto their pages, and it's the different people from Twitter as well as Tumblr. And I have the link to every last one of these talented people inside my description box. So if you're interested, if you like beautiful pictures, then go ahead and check it out there. It inspired me to do my cute intro and as well as outro you'll be seeing in a couple seconds. And I can't forget about Disney, because without Disney, these beautiful pictures wouldn't exist, as well as the beautiful music featured in this video. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe. I wish you all a merry day, and may it be filled with the blue skies, sunshines with positive vibes.